This is Rebecca Teasdale with the Embedding Evaluation in Libraries project. And this video focuses on protecting the rights of people who participate in an evaluation at your library. Many evaluations require us to gather data from patrons, community members, or employees. In these cases, we need to take certain steps to protect the rights of these individuals and ensure that they're treated with respect. In the larger world of evaluation and research, these people are often referred to as human subjects. For example, the subjects in a psychology experiment, or subjects in a randomized control trial of a new medication. Although we don't perform these same kinds of studies in libraries, we still need to follow the same basic ethical principles that govern how we treat people who are involved in our evaluations. These principles are referred to as guidelines for the protection of human subjects. There are three major guidelines that we need to follow. The first is respect for people, which requires that we respect the rights of individuals to choose whether or not they're involved in our evaluation study. This means that individuals must voluntarily agree to participate in our data collection activities based on a well-informed understanding of what participation will entail. We refer to this process as obtaining informed consent. Only adults can give informed consent. So for young people, their parent or guardian must give informed consent, and the young person must also agree to participate. For more information about this aspect of protecting the rights of evaluation participants, you can view the informed consent video in this series. It's also essential that we don't penalize people who choose not to participate in an evaluation or who decide to stop before finishing it. For example, we might want to administer a survey to patrons who participate in a computer class, or interview those patrons afterward. We cannot make the survey or interview a requirement for participation in the class. That would penalize the people who choose not to participate in the evaluation because they would be denied the opportunity to take the class. The second guideline is beneficence, which is an uncommon word that comes from the same root as benefactor and beneficiary. Beneficence refers to the requirement to keep the best interest of evaluation participants in mind and to minimize any discomfort or harm they experience. In a library setting, this means that we're going to protect the privacy and confidentiality of the people in our evaluation studies and treat them with courtesy. For more information about patron privacy when conducting evaluations in your library, you can view the patron privacy video in this series. The third guideline for the protection of human subjects is justice. This principle requires that the benefits and burdens of an evaluation study are shared fairly and equitably. In a library context, this means that we put special protections in place for any people who are in a vulnerable position so that we don't inadvertently manipulate or exploit them. For example, there are extra steps we need to take when we want to gather data from patrons who are homeless or patrons with mental illness. We need to be sure that they don't bear an undue burden by taking part in our evaluation study. If it's important to gather data from members of a vulnerable population, it's a good idea to work with a social service provider who can serve as an advocate for the specific population we want to involve, and who can advise us about how to best protect their rights. The principle of justice also means that we need to think about reciprocity when we gather data. It's important that we aren't asking people to participate in an interview or answer our survey solely so that we can give a conference presentation or write a magazine article that will enhance the image of our library or advance our career. That would mean that the patron bore the burden of our study and we realized all the benefits. Instead, we'll also want to use the data that we obtain to improve library services for our community. In addition, we should think about how we can give something back to the specific people who answered our survey questions or participated in our interviews. They may not personally benefit from the improved library services, although we hope they will, so we often provide a small token of appreciation for their contribution. If your library does a lot of evaluation or runs into complicated situations in which you need to protect the rights of human subjects, you may want to contract with a Commercial Institutional Review Board, or IRB, to oversee your studies. These are ethics review committees similar to the IRBs found in colleges and universities. And they also may be required if you receive certain federal grants that have particular evaluation requirements. Your library would contract with the commercial IRB to review and monitor your data collection activities to ensure that your work is in line with the principles of respect for people, beneficence, and justice. To learn more about protecting human subjects, you can read the Belmont Report. This government document was drafted in the 1970s in response to ethical lapses in medical and social science research. And it outlines the basic ethical guidelines that all evaluation and research studies should follow. You can also enroll in a fee-based online course in research ethics through CITI, the Collaborative Institutional Training Initiative, which provides in-depth information about the protection of human subjects. And for more information about embedding evaluation in your library, visit our website at libraryeval.org.